Thank you very much. So hello, everybody, and thank you so much for coming at the end of your day. I'm sure that you're pretty tired and could be having drinks right now, but instead you've come to see us. So thank you very much. So my name's Sophie Thompson. I'm co-founder and CEO of Virtualspeech, which was originally started as the first virtual reality app to overcome the fear of public speaking because of my own fears of public speaking, which extended to not even being able to order my own food in a restaurant. So here I am today, quite a difference. And I'm delighted to be joined by one of our most valued clients today, and also a generally lovely person, Višnja.
Hello, thank you, Sophie. My name is Višnja Cicvarić Šonje. This is this crazy name, hard to spell. I come from Croatia, but live last 2 years in this wonderful city, Vienna. So, grüße aus Wien. I work for Deutsche Telekom last 3 years for HR people development on the global level, but located here. And yes, what to say, I fell in love with Sophie and her portfolio.
And what was your first experience with VR, Višnja?
Yeah, maybe, fun fact or shame story. I tried a few years ago one gadget, I don't know what was the name, it's irrelevant for the story, but it was so fuzzy, it was so, I really didn't have, this balance feeling right good. And then below my legs, there was a black hole. It was terrifying, really terrifying. And then when I started, okay, you will be portfolio manager, you will implement this product. Okay, nice. Do I have to try really this? Yeah, it's nice. And I tried, and the first thing was looking for this black hole. And nothing was there. And I was like a little child. Oh my God, the screen and everything is here, turning around me. And also, I almost could feel the chair, the material. So it was completely another experience than the first that I had with the black hole. So I don't know from you, did you also have some crazy, funny experience like me, or are all savvy users?
Who remembers their first experience with
the first
VR?
one.
Please share. Hello, Richard, I know you. Hello. Do you want to share your experience?
Oh, yes. So from the HTC Vive, back in 20
Thank you.
years ago. My first experience was on HTC Vive in 2016, doing the lab, and that just blew me away with the floor. I'm sure everyone's done the lab. It was like one of the first demos of VR made by Steam, and it's still an excellent demo today. And having the floor fall away from you like that, it just blew me away. So that was my first experience. PC VR before wireless.
That sounds like a positive first experience. Did anybody have a negative one?
Oh,
we've got
please.
Sorry, I'm going to try to run as fast as I can.
Sorry, we didn't warn you we were going to do this.
Yeah, so mine was with one of the Samsung things using a mobile phone. So, of course, it only had 3 degrees of freedom tracking. And so you can really see the difference when you get to that 6 degrees of freedom when you're actually transported to the place instead of, like you say, you feel a bit disconnected otherwise. And even though it wasn't the most positive experience, you could see the potential behind it even then.
Great, thank you.
Cool, great. May I add one experience that just came to my mind with our colleagues? We had onboarding sessions, to support them, how to use the app and everything. And then they said, oh, I have a fright of the height, because the lady was practicing, the stage. She said, I don't feel comfortable. Okay, then try, just change the settings. Try from the sitting mode, not from the standing. And it helped, because it was really so realistic. So practicing in a safe environment, we always repeat, safe environment you can do. No one will be ashamed, no one will fall out from the stage. It's completely okay.
Thank you. So a quick introduction to virtual speech and why I'm here and how I'm qualified to be here. So I've been working in immersive learning for the last 8 years since we started virtual speech. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what we do, we are an award-winning VR soft skills training platform. So we have courses on topics like public speaking, sales, leadership, active listening, empathy, those kinds of topics. And the premise is that people can learn through experience on demand by actively learning in virtual reality. Since we started, we've worked with over 450,000 people to help them improve both their competence and their confidence with soft skills, and with over 150 organisations, including Telecom, Vodafone, PwC and Severn Trent as well as universities too.
So now about a few facts. It's not about the bragging, it's just to see the diversity of the audience. So Deutsche Telekom has more than 50 countries. Sorry?
You can continue, no.
Okay, so, okay, I thought the guy told me that I have too much hair, it's curly hair, so it could be challenged with the micro. So Deutsche Telekom has over 50 countries that employees over than 210,000. And also we are serving more than 250 million of the customers. So it's a huge machinery, so to say. And if you think about more than 210,000 employees, they are all potential users of this product because, as I said, I'm covering the global learning portfolio. And what is the best to say after you see our heterogeneous group, is one of our guiding principles, which burns by me, I'm really stand for it, it's stay curious and grow, because we strongly support learning culture in our company. So it's not about the formal learning, the different trainings that we offer, but also informal learning within the communities, in order to support our employees to stay fit to the market, to fill demands of the market. So you all know how speed race is in today's world. Then you all know about the digitization, automation, changes on the labor market, that automation will just replace some of the tasks. And what can we do? We all have to stay on this pace. We have to just adopt and embrace those challenges, and ongoing skills improvement are very, very important. So what we did, actually, Deutsche Telekom started with this training, among the others, just to support employees to survive in this evolving industry, because without adaptation, we cannot move further.
And that's where virtual speech comes in. So at virtual speech, we follow the learning cycle of learning key theory and techniques online through more traditional e-learning with articles, videos, quizzes, case studies, and so on, and a way that people are more familiar with learning as well. And then at certain points throughout the course, people are prompted to practice what they've learnt in virtual reality. Once they're in VR, they can upload their own slides, notes, questions, and so on, and receive feedback on their delivery, so things like their eye contact, use of hesitation words, pace, volume, tone, listenability, a range of things. And at the start of this year, we also introduced our generative AI-powered avatars who can do realistic role plays with you, free-flowing role plays, and also give you feedback on your content that you've delivered as well. So if it's public speaking, and if it was to analyse me now, it would tell me how my performance was in terms of what I've actually said, and if there were things I could have said that I missed out, for example. So we also provide that more contextual feedback now. And this is virtual speech in action.
Let's discuss your preferred level of autonomy and how we can strike a balance between support and giving you the freedom to excel in your work.
Great job, Sam. Throughout the conversation, you demonstrated a good understanding of your role as a marketing manager.
Okay, you don't need to see the rest. It goes a bit more promo after that. Over to you, Višnja.
I have a question for you. Who have noticed Sophie in one of the scenarios?
Yeah, in some of our early scenarios, the audience members are our friends, basically. So when we first started, we did like a little kind of show run, I guess, and it's just all of our friends in there. So if anybody's used virtual speech and you've been in that purple conference room, those are my friends.
Yeah, it's cool. So this is the timeline that we would like to show you, the part that we went together, this collaboration. The key word is collaboration. The key word is that we did it together. So it was even before I started to work for Deutsche Telekom, this pilot, so I don't know why they choose them, probably because of their experience, about their quality, but I can confirm that they were the good choice. So we started to work, we tried first the pilot, the first run, the first group, and then we just followed our customers, my colleagues, with the questions that they had, how to onboard them, what was tricky for them, what was not so clear. From our perspective, we wrote the perfect instructions, so yeah, it's easy to follow them, it's easy to onboard them. But with those questions, then we made always some improvements, always some changes, and then involved it onboarding video, which was really great. And this is what I wanted to show you, the steps that we did. First of all, we had some VR headsets in our store, lager, sorry, German word, some things pop out, the first one. We had it in our headquarters, so our colleague had to go there, pack them and send. It was, really, really a lot of work, and we are not actually paid for this. He was portfolio manager, not the facility guy. And then we put in our game, in our service, also the third-party delivery, and it was really enhanced our collaboration. Our colleagues got the service faster, smoother, and then this onboarding phase was much, 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 much better. Because, you can read the instructions, you can follow, turn left, turn right, but before you have seen it, it's hard to imagine what you can expect.
So, as many of you probably know in this room, working with enterprises doesn't come without its challenges. And for our joint projects together, we found that collaboration and transparency has been critical to ensuring success. So, for example, you saw on the previous slide that when we first started working together, we used the Merge VR headsets. Anybody remember them? Where you put your phone into them. And at that point, we didn't actually need to do onboarding because people were just using their mobile phones and people knew how to use them. But obviously the trade-off there was in terms of the quality of the experience. So when we switched to the Pico Neo 2 and then the Neo 3, we weren't just introducing new software to people, it was also new hardware. And we found that there were a lot more questions at that point. So we introduced onboarding sessions. And in the onboarding sessions, it's just an hour where we introduce people to VR, talk them through how to set up their headsets, download virtual speech, and so on, and just go over some of the basics, really. We don't want to overwhelm them, so we just tell them the basics at that point. And then 3 weeks later, we have a check-in with them, so that if anybody has had any problems during that period of time, obviously they could email us, but quite often people don't. They'll just save it and just not say anything, so we have those check-in sessions with them. There's nothing like a minor setback, like a global pandemic, to add to your troubles as well. And while most of our clients would have a small number of headsets that they shared across the organisation, Deutsche Telekom were unique in that they were shipping headsets to individuals to then do these programmes. So that made that experience during the pandemic much, much easier. Having said that, it didn't really make Vishnya's life easier or her colleagues because they were the ones who were shipping them. So then last year we started working with a third-party VR expert who deal with the shipping of the headsets now. So I believe that has helped ease your workload a bit there. And obviously my life revolves around virtual speech, but Vishnya's doesn't, and her colleagues, it doesn't. They have 1,000,001 other things to be doing, so it was very important to make it as easy as possible for them and the end users who were the learners. We also introduced a desktop version of virtual speech this year to increase the accessibility and the scalability as well. So instead of everybody having a headset, if they don't have a headset, they can still access virtual speech. Obviously, it's not immersive in the same way as if you've got a headset, but it still provides that active learning experience and the same feedback metrics as well, so it can act as a bit of a stepping stone into VR. And finally, as with any project in learning and development, engagement does tend to be a bit of a problem because people simply don't have time for training or don't prioritize it, and there's countless reasons. So we work together to market things internally at Deutsche Telekom, so things like the flyers, events, and then externally virtual speech. We came up with, it was actually a series of about 30 email sequences, but we haven't sent them all. We didn't want to clog up people's inboxes, but we emailed them so that they could opt in as well, because we didn't just want to be sending them emails and then them getting really annoyed. So everybody who receives them opted in because they want to learn. It's just finding the time to do it. And what has the impact been of this? So these are just some stats from the people who have used virtual speech this year at Deutsche Telekom. So on average, people have spent 47 minutes per person in virtual speech and immersive learning through virtual speech. And on average, they've improved 10% per VR session, which in turn means that in just 30 minutes, people have improved their skills by 20%. Now, if you bear in mind that we do solely soft skills, so communication skills, before VR, it was very difficult to quantify improvement in a statistical way. But now we can do that. And if you just imagine that if you did 30 minutes of training, your presentation skills or difficult conversation skills, leadership skills would improve by 20% in just half an hour of your time. Those sort of stats are unparalleled with more traditional forms of learning.
Yep. Before we skip to the Q&A, we can just share our best practices. What was it? It was about the collaboration. It was really about the partnership. We did it together. We had the customer in our focus, and we were trying to find the best solution. We were transparent. We were working as a team, not as a provider, vendor, contractor, whatever. We were working really as a team. We were open to learn, adapt, really. What was good, what went wrong, what can we improve. It was always focused how to improve, how to move further. Also how to onboard our colleagues with the video, and also how to keep them engaged, because like Sophie mentioned, it's overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with the content, with everything, so sometimes they just put aside and then forget the life goes further, and so those reminders, they keep them engaged and they keep working, learning.
Yes.
Okay, so the last Q&A for today, we have 5 minutes. Who's gonna go first? Oh, okay, good. I know you're tired, guys, but 5 more minutes.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for presentation. And just a couple of slides back, you mentioned some specific numbers about soft skills improvements, such as like leadership, communication. I'm just wondering, how did you measure the 10% improvement of leadership skills? Could you explain them maybe in details a bit? Thanks.
Yeah. So it's based off the AI metrics that provide the feedback. So that's feedback on the delivery and the content and context of what they've said as well. So the way that we measured that is we take their first score and then their second, third, and so on, and then it's compared based off their baseline score. So we do it because everybody's everybody's coming from a different starting point. So we don't want to categorize people into like beginner, intermediate, expert, because, I mean, if I take myself as an example, I used to not be able to speak, and now I can speak. So I'm not the best presenter, but for me, that's a huge improvement to even be speaking. So yeah, that's why we do it based on like percentage from an individual's baseline.
Okay, who's gonna go next? Yes. Okay.
I just wanted to ask, you've got a desktop version of the software. Are you looking to, do you support tablets as well, like an iPad or a Android tablet, or any Android or iOS operating system?
So we're available across devices, so desktop, mobile, tablet as well.
Yeah, okay. Oh, great, thanks.
Anybody else?
Here in the first row.
Oh, easy.
Are you looking into other training versions as well, not only speaking, but also other soft skill trainings on the same software base?
Yeah, so I mean, we started off with public speaking, and that tends to be what we're known for if people know us. But we do job interviews, sales, leadership, your more ethical soft skills as well, like D&I training, sexual harassment prevention. So yeah, we're very much focused on soft skills, but we're also expanding that catalogue. So for example, a course that's coming out beginning of next year, Q1 next year, is around crucial conversations. So like performance reviews, disciplinaries, that kind of thing.
And I'm going to reserve the last question myself because I want to ask Sophie something.
Are you planning also to include facial expressions also to your system, or is this already included?
Do you mean in terms of analysing facial expressions? Yeah. So not at the moment, we don't do that. It's not in the roadmap in the near term. In the long term, yes, but within the next 6 months, no. I mean, obviously, it would benefit in terms of communication skills, because a lot of your communication is actually based on things like body language. So at the moment, we track body language with your hand gestures and like your head movements, that kind of thing. But the next step would be to track expressions as well.
But trust me, on the interview, you're still sweating. You know, when they're asking the questions, oh my God, when is the end? Will I pass? Will I get the job? It's not easy.
So I'm going to play the track chair card now and reserve the last question. So basically, Sophie, my question to you is, when creating different XR experiences, right, and wanting to translate them from one language to the other, how difficult it is for you to give the same message in another language, basically?
Ooh, that's a good question. So virtual speech is the UI, like the interface, is all in English. But then since we've implemented the generative AI role plays, the software can now understand other languages and give feedback in those other languages. So that hasn't been too difficult to implement since we did that. What has been more difficult, based on different countries and cultures, is some of the feedback metrics around delivery. So for example, something like body language, Italians use a lot of body language, and that's not a bad thing in their culture at all. But then there's other countries where if you use too much body language, it's distracting, or if you're Italian and don't use any body language, that's not natural. So it's more things like that we had to find a balance between. So for example, body language, we don't give people a score saying it's good or bad. We just tell them how much they did it, and then it's open to interpretation on what's more culturally appropriate for them.
Thank you for mentioning the cultural differences, because I've had a similar experience myself when creating XR experiences. Definitely culture plays a huge factor. Okay, well, that was it, everybody. Give it up for Sophie and Višnja. A huge applause, please.